Hi everyone, myself Raj and welcome to my channel. I am here to talk. Today in this video, I am going to have a conversation with Mr. Shashikant Iyengar again. Yes, exactly. Because the last time I had a conversation with him on the topic of ketogenic diet and its connection with kidney function. Click on the I button and watch the entire video. Well, when we are talking about that subject, we started talking about the cooking oils as well. So it's necessary to continue that conversation to bring up the real information about cooking oils, like which cooking oils are healthy and which are not. And there are a lot of queries we do have in our mind regarding cooking oils. So I would like to call him online again because he has a lot of things, he has a lot of information, and which are actually necessary to bring up in front of you all, to spread, to have the real information about cooking oils, to get the proper awareness about the uses of cooking oils. So without wasting much time, I'd like to call him online again with us to have in detail conversation. Well, brace yourself because this conversation is going to be very deep and a little bit long. So without wasting much time, let's start today's topic, cooking oils, with Mr. Shashikant Iyengar. Okay, so here is Mr. Shashikant Iyengar again with us. So let's start today's topic, the cooking oils. There are a lot of queries we have, like which cooking oils are healthy, why and not. So it's better to have proper information from an expert. So Mr. Shashikant Iyengar, thank you so much for joining again, and thank you so much for coming online again with us.
So, Soumik, thank you very much for inviting me again. So, last time we had this discussion on, whether keto was bad or good, and then we had a very good, healthy discussion on that. So, again,
Yeah.
this is this is one topic. It is really brilliant that you could think of this topic on which cooking fat or oils we should use, and it's a burning topic. Currently, there is a lot of ambiguity on what we should be doing. So, there are so much choices, and so many different kind of oils are pushed. So we really don't know, what to do, whether we whether
Yes,
we should
exactly.
use.
When we were discussing about
Yeah.
that ketogenic diet and hoax media claims, we started talking about this particular thing is cooking oils because it's we do consume cooking oils on a regular basis. So it's really important, essential to have proper information, and people should get the real information and awareness about cooking oils. As you know, really means like the cooking oils that we do use, are they really healthy? Means so-called refined vegetable oils that basically normal people, we general people, we use. What's your opinion? Means what are the scientific facts are there behind this?
So, Swami, first of all, as usual, I will always put this caveat that, this is not a medical advice and people need to contact their own doctors and nutritionists for whatever, if they want to follow. And there's just a general discussion and based on the evidence which are available. So we will just discuss all this. So, see, currently there are a lot of choices available. Okay, we have this canola oil, we have
Hmm.
soya bean oil, we have rice bran oil, and we have oil, blended oil also. And there's a
Right.
big push on olive oil, various kind of olive oil, virgin olive oil, and extra virgin olive oil, pomace olive oil. Okay, in all this push, this massive push, we have forgotten most of our traditional oils or traditional cooking medium. So centuries ago, if you really see, we were actually using more of uh, ghee and butter, ghee makhan, and
Right.
maybe some small quantity of cold press oils which we were using. So traditionally, if you see which are the cold press oil we have used, are first of all down south it is coconut oil and sesame oil. And somewhere in the western part and probably some part of south it was peanut oil, and then in the northern and eastern part it was generally the mustard oil. All these were cold press, or what is
So
called in
basically,
India as,
people have this query like, what is the meaning of cold press first? Means
yeah,
what is the
they
difference
all
between
call
cold press and hot
all
press?
kachi ghan, all how we say kachi ghani oils, where they were all expeller pressed. The seeds are just crushed and then oils are taken, and then maybe they are just filtered to throw away the husk, and husk was used primarily as animal feed. So later on, what happens is oil industries have found a way that they can use chemical extraction so that they can extract more oils out of this, and refine bleaching. So these are the
Hmm.
various techniques which are adopted. Now the issue
Hmm.
here is, uh, see the cold pressed oils will generally will have with more of nutrients if they have. The fat soluble vitamins will be there. And once you heat this at a very high temperature, use chemical solvent extraction method, all they are generally lost. And what they do is manufacture very smartly. They will add those synthetic vitamins, and then they will say that it has added vitamin. So people will think, oh,
Right.
very good, it has added vitamin. But these oils are generally dead. It's a dead oil. It has no nutritive value except it is used for this external frying. That's all. Why we use oil? It has a nutritive value because this oil will make it easier to maybe assimilate those vitamins which we have, those vitamins which are found in the food which you cook, as well as these oils themselves. They contain a lot of fat soluble vitamin. So these are essentially lost under high heat. So I say that essentially we should get back to these old traditional oils which we are using.
So that
In
means
fact, I will
when the question that arises in our mind, like which oils are healthy. So that means you want to say this cold pressed oils. I mean, that is what actually happens when these things are getting chemically processed that you mentioned. Like they are
yeah,
actually adding some vitamins.
yeah.
They are outsourcing that. Means those are not natural. Means then what's the point of consuming that? Means normally hot pressed means or chemically processed those refined oils. Right.
Now the issue is the cold press oil will be little costlier compared to the chemical extracted refined oil. No doubt they, because these huge, they have set up these huge industries, machineries, and with all this solvent extraction method, it will prove to be, let us say, very, very cheaper, cost effective. And then we fall for it. Cold press oil may be double the cost of what these refined oils are. No doubt the cost is more, but however, if you see the long run, it will actually cost less because we will suffer less health disorders, and
Yeah,
we will be
otherwise means
spending.
long-term uses of chemically processed or refined vegetable oils would lead to some pathological situation. That person has to buy some medicines only. That person has to invest that money later on. So it's
Yeah.
better to invest right now on cold pressed oils to get proper long-term effect, rather than investing on so-called refined oils. Like yes, the industries and the marketing strategies that we do get to see, like these oils are actually high in PUFA. Means I guess you're going to talk about that. In fact, also the
Yeah.
polyunsaturated fatty acids
So
and
we're just
what is
coming
called,
to
yeah,
this few aspects.
yeah.
First of all, they contain a lot of omega-6 fatty acid. And
Mhm.
humans, if you see, I mean, historically, at least uh, when we see the origin, we used to have a ratio of 1 is to 1. Omega 3 to omega 6 ratio was 1 is to 1. And then, okay, we may be able to tolerate 1 is to 4, 1 is to 5, maybe, or maybe slightly higher. But now what we see is with the less use of animal fats, which contains omega 3, and more use of this so-called refined oils or vegetable oil, which contains high quantity of omega 6. So the ratio is very skewed. It can be even 1 is to 40. So the consumption of omega 3 is far, far less. And vegetarians will suffer even more, especially those vegetarians who avoid butter, ghee. So they are going to suffer even more because this is probably the source of omega 3 fatty acid. And a lot of health issue will arise. See, uh, data shows and data anecdote and the discussion which we have on this oils, it actually shows, and there are a lot of evidences also published which shows that most of these refined oils can even cause insulin resistance. And if you see, and it is my personal opinion that this is a singular factor uh, which is causing insulin resistance in India. So this is one difference if you see between the ancient time and what we have now. No, not the other foods are also contributing this refined carbohydrate, excess sugar, all this industrial processed stuff, bakery food,
Mhm.
pizza, pasta, burger, coke, fructose, everything causes. But if you see an average family who may not be eating out much, but still they also get diabetes, and
Right.
they also suffer. If they don't get diabetes, at least they suffer insulin resistance in the background. So, probably the cause could be this consumption of this refined oil, omega 6. Now, this is one aspect. The other aspect is the how we reuse the oil. Okay, so this is a very
Because
big, terrible problem in India,
yeah.
and it is a problem world over also, but more so in India, because here we tend to reuse the oil. It happens at many homes also. Something is fried, and then they will save the oil and use it. Well, I will still say that is okay. They use one time or two time. But if you see those snack makers outside, they reuse this multiple times. In fact, let me say, a samosa or kachori wala, if he proudly proclaims that I am here since 1947, serving the mankind, but let me tell you, if you will find traces of oil right from 1947, because he never empties that. He will just keep the oil somewhere, store the oil somewhere, clean the kadai,
Mhm.
and then pour the oil
Mhm.
again, and they'll keep pouring fresh
Again,
oil
again,
over it again and again. So if you
again
do,
and again.
I jokingly say that if you do a carbon dating, you will find, we will actually find how old the oil is. So this reuse of oil, it gives life to a lot of chemical changes happens, a lot of oxidative stress happens, and all this puts a lot of stress on human body. We are not used to having these oxidized products. It will oxidize the lipids first of all, and it will the if you see people are afraid of LDL and all. Okay, LDL
Yeah,
cholesterol,
yeah, yeah. That's
LDL
very, very
cholesterol.
important fact. Means like people
Yeah.
do correlate the factor of saturated fats and with the coronary artery disease, but actually they don't really actually understand. They think that consumption of cholesterol-rich foods, consumption of saturated rich foods, which actually will lead to heart disease. But that is not the problem. That the part is the oxidized part of the LDL, right? The low density, in a very low density lipoprotein, if that is getting oxidized with the consumption of reused cooking oils or high omega-6 values of cooking oils, means like that is what actually happens, but people don't actually understand. You
See, this
clear
is
this
this is
concept
not
a little bit
measured.
more.
See, this is not measured in India at all. I mean, it may be available in certain centers, but the oxidized LDL is never measured. And for the
Yeah.
information, many of us may not know that LDL cholesterol, which creates a lot of fear, actually has two forms: small dense LDL and large fluffy LDL. Large fluffy
Right.
LDL is benign and can be beneficial also, whereas the small dense LDL is what causes all this cardiac issues. And this can be damaged by using all this junk oil. It can be damaged by hyperglycemia, that is excess sugar. It can be damaged by hyperinsulinemia, and there are various other factors. It is not a singular factor. There are various factors, but these are all the various factors which are never considered. Secondly, the point which you mentioned again, taking saturated fat will raise LDL and all. This fear is there. See, if you see, long back, 2015 or so, USDA, US Department of Agriculture, okay, so they have also cleared the concept that dietary intake of cholesterol does not affect serum cholesterol very well. Okay, in effect, what they're saying is whether you take whatever amount of dietary cholesterol you take, it is not going to significantly impact your serum cholesterol level. See, our liver is there to produce cholesterol.
Right.
Okay, so God is not stupid that they have given us a liver which will produce cholesterol. Cholesterol has certain vital functions in our body, and hence
Yeah.
liver produces. So if
That
we
means
take a lot of dietary cholesterol,
if cholesterol is bad, then why our
yeah,
body produces
why
it?
it is produced, yeah. Now
Yeah.
the thing is, if you take more dietary cholesterol, then your liver will automatically adjust the output, and then they will produce little lesser cholesterol. And if you don't take any, you see, there are a lot of people who are plant based who don't take, plant doesn't have cholesterol. Okay,
Yeah.
cholesterol is found only in animal food. So even then they produce cholesterol. How come? The liver is making it. Even they
Hmm.
suffer from high cholesterol. How? Liver is making it. So somehow we have to understand this concept, and there are a lot of conflicting reports on all this. See, the entire the thing started with what is called as a diet heart hypothesis by Ansel Keys.
By
So
answer
he
keys long
was,
back.
yeah.
Mhm.
So he was the one who proposed a sort of hypothesis that
Yeah.
something which you take in diet actually increases cholesterol, and
Mhm.
saturated fat increases cholesterol, and cholesterol causes heart disease. So
It
this
was
is the
completely
mechanism.
hypothesis. Means like, and
It's
he
just a
did the
hypothesis, and it is a
research
highly
on seven
manipulated study.
countries. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
with
did the
seven.
research on 7 countries. He actually
Yeah,
didn't take those countries, those who are actually consuming high amount of cholesterol and high amount of saturated fat, but
yeah.
still they didn't get any heart-related problems.
Yeah, so it was a very manipulated data. At that time, there were some issues happening, and people had to produce something to show that they are doing some good work. So this manipulated
Mhm.
study was actually published, and everyone started following. And with this, the whole game started. The whole game of all this saturated fat, cholesterol started with this diet heart hypothesis by Ansel Keys. Many of us do not
Mhm.
know this, and here the game started. Once he demonized saturated fat because
Right.
it contains cholesterol and Saturated fat is bad for heart. Animal fat is bad because it contains cholesterol. All this nonsense which has created. The food industry immediately caught on. Okay. So let me just tell you a very interesting fact that earlier uh, many of the machineries they were oiled with what is called as whale oil. Okay, so whale were actually killed, and then this whale blubber or fat was extracted, and this oil were actually used to machine these oils. So later on, with the whale population coming down, there was a ban on it, and then the oil industry found a novel way. The hydrogenated cottonseed oil, and they made some grease-like stuff which they started using. So this is the history. And then when this diet heart hypothesis came, immediately these companies caught on. They told that, okay, now this greasy stuff resembles butter. So why don't we replace butter with this? Okay. So let me now name the company. They bought out a product called Crisco, which is nothing but you're one of those margarine, hydrogenated vegetable oil margarine. And and they funded some heart association. I don't want to take the name of this also. People can go and find out in the net. I really don't want to take. So they with this, along with this medical association, they started propagating that please stop using butter, please stop using lard. Now lard is pig fat which was used abroad in US. So in US there was hardly any heart disease earlier, and hardly any diabetes, and they were using butter, coconut oil, or even pig fat lard. They were using a lot of animal fats like beef dripping and suet or duck fat. So when they started demonizing all this fat, so they started replacing. They had a very heavy campaign and pushed this Crisco. So that's how. And then they started, having
Mhm.
advertisement like, modern housewives now use Crisco, unlike their mother. So somewhat that's how they influence, and that's how they did. And then all the oil industry caught on, and then slowly they started pushing this corn oil, soybean oil, and all this junk oil. Soybean is something which is implicated heavily that it causes insulin resistance. In fact, there are a lot of animal studies, like my study, which actually shows that it is highly
Yeah, means
obesogenic
you
and
could see the
highly.
normal general people actually use soybean oil and sunflower oil and refined oils, and marketing strategies over there. They actually claim these oils are actually heart healthy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, these
So I'll tell you
actually
why. I'll tell you why. Because those
liver
oil
fat.
which with high omega 6 will actually reduce LDL. So automatically it is assumed that anything which reduces LDL is good. So this is an automatic assumption. So that's how. In fact, there are a lot of studies. There are very old studies which actually shows that those who are on animal on saturated fat and those who are unsaturated fat like omega 6. Minnesota coronary
Mhm.
experiment, and then we have a reanalysis of Sydney heart study. They actually showed that while these oils reduce LDL, but the incidence of myocardial infarction was higher. Now this is all abroad, okay. But let me tell you something nearby. This hardly anyone knows. Uh, Malhotra et al. Indian Railway study somewhere in 1964. So this was a study carried out by a medical officer in the Indian Railway. So he compared the eating patterns of southern as well as northern part of India, and he used only the Indian Railway employees, and this is an observational study. And then he just through the survey he found out what exactly they are consuming, how much they are consuming. So it was probably well designed at that time. See, today it will be controversial whether it was well designed or not, but that time it was well designed, and there were no conflict at all. He didn't have any conflict. Okay, there were no food industries which are coming in. So what he found was the southern part of country, the South Indians, they were consuming relatively higher oils, the peanut oil or sesame oil. But the northern part of India, the Punjabis particularly, and maybe Rajasthan or other part, so they were consuming predominantly animal fat like ghee, the dairy, makhan, ghee, everything they used to consume. In fact, the amount of caloric intake was also higher in northern part. Amount of carbohydrate was also higher in northern part. However, the incidence of myocardial infarction was higher in southern part compared to northern part. So that's what he hypothesized that time, that probably this animal fat is something which is more protective. Okay, and during those time, people generally used to eat mostly at home. If you see, okay, eating out was one of the rarities. We all know that when we were all small, we used to rarely eat outside. So this is something which is there. This Malhotra et al. Study can be found in BMJ. Anyone goes, anyone just types, and then they can go through this study. So a lot of such studies are available. However, these studies are suppressed and no one talks. we only have this oil lowers LDL, so take it. So now the recent craze is, then what has happened is one more history is, against uh, this demonization of mustard oil.
Mhm.
Okay, someone from abroad, those companies, they came and then they say erucic acid is very high and then it will cause some neurological problem like dropsy and all. And then they started demonizing it. And then they also did some genetic modification and came out with this canola oil or corn. I call them corn oil. It's a corn job actually. So they will say it has high omega 3 and all. So they're all refined
Okay.
dead oil which is there.
Hmm.
Okay, so please avoid canola oil. And see, the other problem is, okay, some of the other, see, in our low carb keto community, we generally recommend in India butter, ghee, and coconut oil. These are the only three. The
Hmm.
other oil we don't recommend. But I don't mind for the general public. People did not follow low carb keto. No,
Like,
if they
yes,
want to
exactly. Means
immediately
not
improve their
everyone
health,
follow that. Hmm.
if they want to improve their health immediately, they should shift to cold press oil, one of the traditional oil, either peanut, mustard, or sesame oil, and then they should use as less oil as possible. And please use ghee wherever possible. No doubt, you have to source a good quality ghee. It can be a
Hmm.
little costly; it doesn't matter, but in long term, it will save. And if you feel it is costly, then use less. Okay, use less of this fried item.
And also, it's
Okay.
very like, important when we mention that word that use ghee, that fact of saturated fat and heart disease that automatically comes. So scientifically, also it's proven like saturated fat has no connection with like
Yeah.
atherosclerosis and coronary artery disease. I will give that link in the description box also. So go through that link and check that entire article over there, because people should get the real information. Like everyone still now also, when we talk about coconut oil, when we talk about ghee and butter, people always think like, okay, it has saturated fat, so it's not actually heart healthy. It will create more clogs, and it will create plaques in the arteries, and it will block the heart functions and everything, etc., etc.
See, this uh, there are a lot of people who know and experience have proven that excess omega 6 will lead to inflammatory conditions. Now,
Right.
I'm not saying that omega 6 is not, it is needed. We require everything. These are all essential
But the
fatty
balance
acids.
should be proper. The
Yeah,
ratio of omega 6 and
yeah,
omega 3,
yeah. If
that
we
balance
keep
should be
too
proper.
much, if see omega 3 fatty acid will lower inflammation, omega 6 will increase inflammation. Now we need inflammatory. We need inflammation. If we get hurt or something, we require inflammation, but not too
Hmm.
much. If we have too much of omega 6, it will lead to chronic inflammatory condition. And this is the one which actually causes damage to the blood vessel. And coupled with hyperglycemia, if we take all this refined
Right.
carbohydrate, it will hyperglycemia. So it will actually go and
So that
the
means
thin.
people, if people so much aware of heart disease and everything, then they should actually switch from refined oils
Yeah, yeah,
to cold pressed oils
immediately.
or
Cold
saturated
press.
fats, because that is what actually we should actually focus. That is where we should focus on the ratio of omega 6 and omega 3, and in generally the so-called refined oils. Means that is where we should shift our focus, that we should actually need to know that we should use the cold pressed oil rather than using so-called refined chemically processed vegetable oils. And as you were discussing about the fact of reused oils, tell us something about that also, like the snacks or the bhujiyas or the samosa that we do buy from outside stores. What kind of oils they use on a regular basis?
See, it is a very pathetic and horrible condition. First of all, most of the local sweet bakers, kachori, samosa wala, bhujia wala, who make all this savories and all, so they use what is called as reheated oil, and then they don't empty, and then a lot of oxidative stress, lot of chemicals are released, and
Mhm.
generally this is going to cause more inflammation and oxidative stress in our body. Now the other part is what happens is, Swamik, I don't know if you know this, a lot of big snack makers, what they do is they use oil for some time, for 4, 5, 6, 10 times, God knows how many times they
Okay.
reuse,
Okay.
and then they will sell it. They will actually auction it in the
Okay, okay,
local
okay.
market.
Give me a break. Means like people should really get this information. Like big companies, big manufacturing and means food manufacturing industries. We are not actually taking the names basically, but they use those oils, and after using like 3 to 4 times, they auction it. They sell it again to the local market.
Yeah, local snack makers will come
Local
and they
snack
will buy.
makers.
In fact, I suggest Soumik or to the viewers also, they just go to Google and find out indiamart.com and then just find out about reused oil. It is available for as
Just need
less
to type
as
reused oils.
reused oil, resale or reused oil purchase. You'll find IndiaMart prominently there selling at rupees 50 per kg or 50 per liter of this
My
reused
goodness.
junk oil. And we don't know. And then we feel that, oh, yes, this samosa, kachori is tasting good. Or you come to here, come to our part. Vada pav is very good. Vada is very good. So we will enjoy all this at what cost? Ultimately, we are going to go and spend in that hospital. And then people complain this corporate hospital is fleecing us. Why we should complain? Yeah, the corporate hospitals are doing the right thing. They should fleece them because we are not taking care of our health. And we think, and when we say all this, when we propagate all this, people laugh at us. They think we are fools. But they are going to pay a price heavily. All this will cause insulin resistance. It will cause obesity. In fact, some of the studies, the links which you'll post will actually show that this could be a cause of even cancer. It could be a cause of Alzheimer. It could be a cause of dementia. All these junk oils, they are implicated in a lot of modern chronic diseases.
Yeah,
Actually,
actually means people those who are actually consuming on a regular basis, like food from outside, from the snack store, means like for them it's better to go for fasting rather than consuming those foods. Means like high in inflammation rate, high in reused oil. I mean, reused oil means we have no idea. Means how many times it got used. Means how many times they are actually using, because they are actually buying those oils. Means already they are buying reused oils. Means after that also they are continuously recycling. Means they believe on recycling stuff, and that's why they are reusing, and long term basis they are actually using those oils. It's really pathetic, and it's really important for the people to know about this fact also, like the
see, there
fact
are a
of
lot
living.
of different oils are used. Most of this pizza maker may be using soybean oil, and most of the snacks may be made in maybe even palm oil. Now, let me
Right,
tell you.
right.
Now, if you see the palm oil of various varieties, there is always what is called as red palm oil or palm kernel oil (PKO),
Okay.
which contains relatively high fat, red saturated fatty acids. They are actually healthy, but they are not available as easily. And what is available is the RBD palm oil, refined bleach deodorized, okay, which is nothing but junk. Okay, because this contains saturated fat, this can solidify and then it is very good for making snacks. But let me tell you, it is just sheer junk. It is a dead oil, and it is also under a lot of controversy because because of the deforestation, and then orangutans depends upon this. So that's how. So I say that if you want to enjoy the savories and everything, please make it at home. Okay,
Right.
make it with ingredients on which you have control. Make it in oil, fresh oil, and then throw away that oil. I don't recommend reusing any oil. Even if
Right.
I don't even recommend reusing ghee there for that matter, because once you heat anything, there are some chemical changes happens. So it is best to discard everything, use only
Yeah,
once.
yeah. So coming to the point, when you are talking about the heating part and this, how much, if we talk about the stability, means at the higher heat point, it's important to know the stability of ghee also. Means like as you were saying, like it's better to have a ghee at the time of cooking. Is we can actually prefer ghee. So sometimes we know that the cooking oil stability, we talk about that at a high smoke point, whether it gets converted into trans fat or not. So tell us something about that fact also,
So
that
see,
how much
ghee has a
stability ghee.
very high smoke
Yeah.
point, more than 250 degrees Celsius,
Mm.
and so it will be, it will not get easily oxidized or damaged. Secondly, it contains saturated fat, so saturated fat will not be easily damaged, unlike the polyunsaturated fatty acid or PUFA. So these are the few differences. First of all, these PUFA oils are bleached, they're chemically extracted, they're heated to a big extent, they're deodorized and then given to us, and then we will reheat them again. And this is how we have this junk food with us, and then coupled with the fact that if we reheat multiple times, so essentially we are putting our health at great risk. So better to use this sat fat. I will say that please use ghee butter maximum, and if you cannot tolerate coconut oil, see personally at home we use coconut oil, ghee, butter. These are the cooking mediums we have. And if you cannot tolerate coconut oil, then use less of mustard, peanut, or
Mm.
sesame oil,
The cold pressed
and
version of
cold press
this.
version. And
Yeah.
if someone really wants to have this fried item and all, and then these air fryers are very good. So I say that you use this air fry so that you avoid oil totally. So this is for those
Yeah.
general population. general population who cannot use this kind of safe fats which you advocate. Okay, see, the other animal fat like lard or sweets are not very popular in India. So some people may be using lard to some extent, or pig fat, which is not very popular in India. So if people can use that, then it is good. Otherwise, ghee remains one of the best. And if you source a
Ghee,
good
butter,
quality ghee,
or
yeah,
the
yeah,
cold press.
coconut,
This
all
will
the
be
coconut oil. These are the three only we
one.
recommend in low carb community. However, for
Okay.
others, they can as well go the cold pressed. Yeah.
So the matter of fact is, whenever means question arises in our mind, or as we are discussing about the cooking oils, like which cooking oils are healthy, then for normal people, for general people, go for the cold pressed cooking oils, cold pressed sesame oils, and cold pressed mustard oil, rather than choosing those chemically processed refined cooking oils, because it has high amount of omega 6, and as you got to know from Mr. Shashikant Iyengar, it actually causes more inflammation. It has connection with obesity. It has connection with artery disease and everything. So it's better to have cold pressed oil, or if you can use ghee or butter, high amount of saturated fat, it will be more beneficial for health. And I will drop the link also for the saturated fat, also the whether it has any connection, as he has already stated so many factors about what actually the main factor which actually creates the heart problem, whether the saturated fats or the low density lipoproteins subparts, like the very low density lipoprotein oxidized part, which actually what is the main reason behind that. He has discussed a lot about that. So I think people have got real information in these cooking oils. Means, what do you think, or do you have more to say about this cooking?
See, Soumik, see, saturated fat, people fear that it raises LDL. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
paradoxically, or coincidentally, it is not paradoxical. It is natural. I'll say that's the wrong word I used. It also increases HDL cholesterol, which is a good cholesterol, beneficial cholesterol. So actually, it improves the ratio. Secondly, there are some studies that have actually shown that coconut oil and all, where it raises LDL, it will be raising the large fluffy LDL and actually reducing the small dense LDL. Okay. Whereas the other omega 6
Mm-hmm.
refined oils will actually reduce LDL. It will also reduce HDL also. So there is not much point in this. So is it really healthy? And there's a question mark we should see. We should
Mm-hmm.
not base everything on LDL cholesterol. We should not base everything on saturated fat. We should think little more of how our forefathers, ancestors lived. Okay. But again, this advice, let me tell you, let me make it very clear that for all those who are already suffering from certain cardiac condition, please follow your doctor's advice. Please don't change anything, and please follow. This is I'm generally telling for those healthy people who are not affected by any disease as of now. So there's a small caveat which I'd like to add.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So I hope the myths and the queries that you had in your mind, you've just got the right answer from the right person. And thank you so much, Mr. Shashikant and Shashida, basically, as I was calling you Shashida in the last conversation, for sharing so many good information about that. And I believe that people will get to know more from you in future. And I hope this in this video also we'll be receiving some couple of good feedbacks, just like the last time. So let's see, and we will definitely connect in the next video with a different topic, with more important topic as well.
So thank you, thanks Somik. It was really a pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure you'll be posting all the links to the study. So I'll also send you a few more links which you can actually post, so people will get a little more enlightenment. And I hope that we don't fall prey to this campaign where they want to push the wrong kind of oils. Okay, and before we sign off, I just want to talk about olive oil, which I forgot. Okay, olive oil is also
Okay.
touted to be one of the best oils available. It's recommended in Mediterranean diet and all. But let me tell you, the issue is while olive oil is good and a lot of evidences are positive for it, olive oil faces a lot of contamination. This is also true for US, where they say that almost 60 to 80% of the oils would be contaminated. And you can imagine what could be the situation in India. Okay, so there are very few brands I will trust, and we should be using only the extra virgin olive oil. That pomace oil, which they say is good for frying and all, I will say that just stay
Hmm.
away from it. All these oils are very good for oiling the door hinges. Okay, not for eating. You may use it for oiling the hinges. please don't eat it. So just stay away and use olive oil only a small quantity for as a salad dressing. That's all. So for deep frying and all,
And that is
this will be
also
just okay.
the
Yeah.
extra virgin one.
Yeah, many people actually use olive oil for deep frying and all, but I don't prefer because of the I doubt the quality of the oils which are available in this country. When it is a problem abroad, it can be even big problem here. So please use it for only salad dressing. For all our Indian deep fry, use ghee. So this is my final word. Thank you. Thanks, Somi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ashida, for sharing such an immense knowledge about this, real information about these cooking oils, because people should know about it. People should get proper awareness about cooking oils because we do consume cooking oils on a regular basis. Thank you so much, Ashida, for joining us. And what to say more? Let's wait for another new
Thank you.
topic with.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for watching the entire video. I believe that we got real information and we have received real answers from him regarding the uses of cooking oils and the queries that we had in your mind regarding cooking oils. I think everything got cleared after this conversation. So if you have really liked this video, then don't forget to hit the like button and share this video just like the last time and make it a hit again. And do post your comments, do post your feedbacks in the comment section below. And of course, check the description box because a lot of links I'll be posting over there, which are really informative and which will help you more to increase your knowledge further. Well, take care of yourself and don't forget to subscribe this channel and make it a hit again by sharing and by liking this video. Love yourself, stay fit, Shira, and be fit with Raj.